everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Paula with Paula's Imperfect Plans. On my channel, I share my personal planning and budgeting journeys as a wife, a mother, a farmer, and a professional in a nonprofit, and what I utilize to be efficient and effective in all of those areas of my life. And today I'm going to show you my actual sinking fund setup. I should actually dig back and find how I tracked them originally. So I'm just wanting to offer something for people who do not cash stuff, who don't cash pull everything and put everything in cash envelopes, which there is absolutely nothing wrong with going the cash route. It can help you be a whole lot more accountable and seeing the money in your hands. But there's only a few categories that I have done cash stuffing with because so many of my bills are paid online or auto whatever, and I do so much of that stuff online, including my banking, that when I started sinking funds, I don't know if it occurred to me at that time or not to pull out the cash and then deposit it back in, but that is not how I do it, and so I kind of talk about it in my budgeting. But what I have, I'll just flip back, and this isn't how I originally started doing it. This is not how I started the process, but this is how I'm doing it this year, and this is probably more simple than what I was doing before, depending on what you think simple versus complex looks like. I bet I have a template on my computer that I can print off. I keep getting a little off track here, but so what I have currently is, this is just in the same notebook where I do my budget, which is an Erin Condren notebook, but you can do it with honestly any, and I think you're all capable of extrapolating that, but my kiddo brought home a halfway used notebook that was her journal during pre-K this year. You could do it on here. I mean, you could do it on a basic notebook and have a sinking fund notebook. I also know a lot of people that keep like one page for all their sinking funds, and I really struggled to explain this. So we'll put the category down the side, have all the sinking funds listed, and then in the month of January, how much went in or how much came out, and the balance for each sinking fund individually. Did on the same page. So I have here, and again, stickers aren't necessary, but at the top, I could just write daycare. The date, the amount, and the balance. So this is my summer daycare fund. These are the dates that the transactions were. These are the amounts that I deposited on those dates. These are when I took it out. I made my first transfer out of the account to pay a portion of summer daycare, which is coming up in the next week. Home and car insurance is the same thing. The dates that I'm adding all of these things in, and the balance at the end. I took $422 out to pay my homeowner's insurance. Then I took that out to pay my car insurance, and then I decided to transfer that. Since I had saved extra, I transferred that to a different sinking fund, and I'm starting over. And this is like my note here that I've started over, and then my June transaction, that's what I'll put in. Oh, I put that in subtracting anyway. So I actually need to edit that because that's where my brain is, I guess. But anyway, that's the home and car insurance one. This one is our vehicle registration. I've heard them called tabs and tags and all kinds of things, but we pay yearly to register our vehicles, the little sticker in the bottom of our license plate that allows us to legally drive on the road, I guess. So I put in 50 all these each month. On the 21st, I took out 280, leaving 16. I took out 280 to pay mine, leaving 16. In May, I started adding a little bit more because I forgot to adjust for my husband's truck payment. Or the fact that his truck changed and it'll cost a little bit more to register it, and so I'm just going through. The thing with using like a whole notebook page is I don't think, for most of these, it's like a monthly deposit that I put in and I take it out a couple times a month. So I'm not gonna have a problem getting through the year on one page for all these. This one, well, no, I don't even think this one will be a struggle because I was putting some in and then I'll be taking some out every 2 weeks, but I won't really be using it after the summer. probably this. Yeah, honestly, I don't think there's any of these these sinking funds that I use so frequently that a page wouldn't be enough. This is our car gas. So this is just how I do it. I put, flat amounts in when I put my mileage reimbursement checks in, when I take it out to pay the bill, like I just have a running total so I know what I have in here. And so when I finish up my, which paycheck did I just do? Where I came in here and I was like, okay, 55 out of daycare, 174 out of car insurance, 75 in here, 50 in here, 100 in here. I just held this page open and I didn't write with that hand, but I went in and wrote in each category the check dates and what I put in according to this that I took from the front page. So that is how I do the sinking funds currently. Taxes, I gave myself a real small one because essentially I put them in our magic month check and then I take it out a couple months later. So there'll only be like 4 lines there for taxes. Vehicle repairs could potentially be used a lot more. But yeah, so that's how I did those. I just got stickers to set them up. Again, if I keep going, I can absolutely do just a blank page of tracking, but I like a whole page dedicated to one thing. That works quite well for my brain. I'm going to see if I can show or find what I used before this year. All right, I knew I could find it if I looked in there enough. So I created this just on Excel or on Google Sheets, or it was on Google Sheets, but obviously it's an Excel spreadsheet. So I have, because again, the reason I went to something else was because I was crunched for room. So this section here, let me zoom in a little bit. Okay, so that shows car insurance date and amount. So say I got paid on the 19th and I added 270. So total in the sinking fund, would be 270. And then okay. So the internet, I used to pay my internet every 3 months. Say I got that paycheck on the 19th plus 20. Is a total of 20. If I do plus 30, then it's a total of 50. Taxes, vehicle registration, gas, and Christmas. So the problem is actually I redid this. It did not used to look like that. So anyway, I used to have smaller sections. This is the one that I redid, and then I decided to put it in a notebook instead because I only used about half the page while I was running out of room. I could only make a page last about 6 months. But this is better the way I did it all in columns. And then I obviously have the other side, car repairs LP, and then I left a bunch blank. What I don't like about this is I write pretty big and the date and the amount are hard to fit in that one box. That would be an easy enough change, I would think. But this is, say, then I'm going to pay this on 6/10 minus 50 equals 0. So just keeping a running tab of each of them. That's how I did it before. That would be an example of how that would be an example of how easily you could do it in an Excel spreadsheet or a Google Sheet, or like I said, or just even a notebook if you're keeping track of it. So I wanted to show the option if you're not doing the cash stuffing and you're trying to figure out how to make this work in a electronically. So I have one account that I have like labeled in my online banking app as sinking funds. It is a savings account. And so when I do an online transfer, because I know that for a savings account, you're only supposed to, or at least at my bank, there's only so many debits, so many times you can pull out of a savings account, in a month without there being a fee, because it's a savings account. You're not supposed to run it like a checking account or whatever their logic is. But so if I'm like, for instance, this past paycheck, I had, the things that I was putting in this paycheck were 75 for car registration, 50 for Christmas, 100 for LP, 100 for car repairs, 100 for preschool, 50 for clothes. So I was putting 475 in, but then I was taking out 55 and I was taking out 1074, which leaves me with negative 654. So I know that to get all my sinking fund transfers that I need for that check, I need to transfer 654 out of sinking fund. So I go into my online banking, however that works, and I make the transfer of 654 from my sinking fund savings to my checking. To my checking, and then I can do like a note or a purpose or something, and I put this was my 5/19 paycheck. So in the note or description or whatever, I don't even know what the title of it is, I put 5/19 sinking fund transfers. And you only get 20 characters on mine, so sometimes it says sinking fund trans. I always forget what I do, or 5/19 check transfers or something like that, but letting me know that that was everything that needed to be transferred to and from my sinking funds from this paycheck, so that I can go back and look, because when I see it in my online banking, it doesn't have those itemized to what they were actually for. But on here it does. It tells me right how I got that 654 if I ever need to go back and look at what the heck made it's not a negative 654, but I transferred it from savings into, I was taking more out of the sinking fund than what I was putting in, just because it was time to pay my car insurance. So that is how I do that. But then when I do it on my expense sheet, my expense logs, I'm putting it all as individual transactions. So the two that I transferred into my bank account because it was time to pay them, they're right there. Sinking fund for car insurance is under a deposit of $10.74. Sinking fund summer daycare is a deposit of $55. And then when I come down here, I highlight sinking funds in this like greenish yellow color. So then I put money, these were payments because they went out of my checking into my savings account. Vehicle registration sinking fund, 75. Christmas, 50. 100 for LP, 100 for vehicles, 100 for clothing, and 100 for pre-K tuition. So they are all listed separately here. So then as soon as I see that 654 clear in my bank account, which it does, it starts pending instantly when I make an online transfer, then I can just check that those transactions have taken place. So that is how I do my sinking funds. The majority of them are electronic. They are in a different bank account, and that is how I keep track of them on my expense tracker, how I do the transfers in my bank accounts, all the way to how I keep the logs in of what's in each section of my sinking fund. So if you have any questions about that, let me know. Thanks, guys, and have a great day.